Hello, everyone, and welcome. The energy is absolutely high today because we are tackling a subject that literally fuels us. It fuels our cells, it fuels our brains, and it certainly fuels our cooking. I'm Dr. Kitcha, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Doctor Kitcha Podcast.
And hello to our listeners. I am Dr. Nida. I'm here to bring a bit of order to the chaos, dig into the data, and perhaps provide a touch of British scientific rigor to the proceedings.
We make a good team. Enthusiasm meets evidence. And today, folks, we're going to talk about cooking oils and heart health, what most people get wrong.
It is a massive topic. Honestly, just walking down the oil aisle in a modern grocery store can induce a mild panic attack.
Well, absolutely.
You have shelves floor to ceiling with yellow liquids, green liquids, sprays, jars, and some very, very convincing labels.
Exactly. You stand there holding a bottle of olive oil in one hand and coconut oil in the other, wondering, is this one a superfood or is it a heart attack waiting to happen? Can I fry an egg in this or will I, burn the house down? It feels like the advice changes every week.
Precisely. There's an immense amount of confusion, marketing hype, and frankly outdated science floating around, so we are debunking the myths today.
We're going to strip it back to the chemistry.
That's the plan.
But before we get started, please subscribe to this channel so you won't miss the helpful content we share regularly. We really want to build a community here that values health and truth, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.
Indeed. And our mission for this deep dive is really quite straightforward. We want to explain the science of fats and oils in a simple, easy-to-understand way.
Right.
We want you to be able to make the best choices for your heart without needing a PhD in chemistry.
So let's unpack this. To understand oil, we have to understand fat. And I feel like fat is a word that carries so much baggage. But chemically, oil isn't just one thing, right?
No, not at all. It's not a monolith. When you pour oil from a bottle, you aren't pouring a single uniform substance. You are pouring a cocktail of different fatty acids.
A cocktail, I like that.
And understanding the characters in this cocktail is the first step to making better choices. You really have to look at the carbon chains.
I like to think of them as the three musketeers of fat. We have three main types we need to know. And the distinction really comes down to their shape, their molecular architecture. Let's start with the first one. Saturated fats. I call these the solid ones.
That is a good way to visualize it. Saturated fatty acids, or SFA, are chemical chains that are fully saturated with hydrogen atoms.
Okay.
Imagine a long line of carbon atoms holding hands, and every free hand is holding a hydrogen atom. Because they are fully saturated, the chain is straight and rigid.
Okay, so picture a stack of papers, or like bricks. Because they are straight, they can pack together really, really tightly.
Exactly. They fit snugly against one another. That is why they are solid at room temperature. Think about butter, lard, the fat cap on a steak.
Palm oil, coconut oil?
Palm oil, coconut oil, yes. Their molecular structure dictates the physical state. And because they are packed so tight, it takes more heat energy to melt them.
And traditionally, these have been the villains of the story, haven't they? I mean, for decades, we've been told to cut the butter to save the heart.
To an extent, yes. The consensus, which is supported by major bodies like the American Heart Association and the British Heart Foundation, is that a high intake of saturated fats tends to raise LDL cholesterol.
LDL, the bad stuff.
We will get into why that matters in a moment, but generally, yes, we want to keep these in check. The data shows that replacing these with unsaturated fats improves health outcomes.
Which brings us to the heroes of our story, monounsaturated fats, or MUFA as they're called.
These are fascinating. Chemically, they have one double bond in their carbon chain, hence mono.
What? Double bond?
And that double bond is key. It creates a sort of missing link for hydrogen, which causes the chain to kink or bend.
Oh, like a hinge in a ruler.
Exactly like a hinge.
Right.
And because of that bend, they can't pack together as tightly as the saturated bricks. They slide past each other.
And that's why they're liquid at room temperature.
Precisely. Liquid at room temperature, but can turn cloudy or semi-solid if you put them in the fridge and slow those molecules down.
And these are the ones we find in olive oil, avocado oil, canola oil.
Correct. And they are termed heroes because the research is incredibly consistent here. They interact with the liver in a way that helps lower LDL, the bad cholesterol, but they also help maintain or even boost HDL, the good cholesterol.
The best of both worlds.
Truly.
Then we have the third group, the complex ones, polyunsaturated fats, or PUFA.
Poly means many, so these have multiple double bonds, 2, 3, or more kinks in the chain.
So they're all bent out of shape.
Very much so, because they are so bent and twisted, they cannot pack together at all. They're very liquid, even in the fridge. These include your omega-3s and omega-6s.
And when we say essential fatty acids, these are the ones we're talking about, right?
Yes, essential means our bodies cannot synthesize them from scratch. We must ingest them. They are crucial for brain function, cell membrane fluidity, and controlling inflammation.
But they're a bit high maintenance. I always picture them as the fragile artists of the fat world.
That is a brilliant analogy. They are chemically less stable. Because they have so many of those double bonds, they're more vulnerable to attack by oxygen and heat.
So the double bond is a weak spot.
It's a point of weakness where oxygen can snap on and degrade the molecule. We find these in soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and of course, fatty fish.
So we have the solid saturated, the heroes, monounsaturated, and the complex ones, polyunsaturated. Okay. Now, why does this all matter for the heart? We hear about LDL and HDL all the time. I like to use an analogy here to make it stick. Imagine your bloodstream is a highway.
I love a good analogy. Go on.
Okay, so LDL cholesterol. Think of it as a delivery truck. Its job is to carry fat and cholesterol from the liver out to the cells that need it for repairs or energy. But if you have too many delivery trucks, or if the trucks are rickety and small, they start causing traffic jams. They start spilling their cargo on the highway. And that cargo is plaque.
That is surprisingly accurate. And to add a layer of detail, it's specifically the small, dense LDL particles that are the most dangerous delivery trucks.
Those little ones.
Yes, they can penetrate the arterial wall much more easily. And when that plaque builds up, the highway narrows, leading to atherosclerosis, heart attacks, and strokes.
So what about HDL?
HDL is the garbage truck, or perhaps the recycling truck is a better term.
Okay.
It cruises through the bloodstream, picks up the excess cholesterol that the LDL spilled, and carries it back to the liver to be processed and eliminated. This process is called reverse cholesterol transport.
So the goal of a heart-healthy diet isn't just no fat. It's about traffic control. We want to lower the number of sloppy delivery trucks, the LDL, and keep a fleet of efficient garbage trucks, the HDL, running.
Exactly. And this isn't just theory. We have data, such as a retrospective analysis, which showed that higher intakes of unsaturated fats, those heroes and complex ones, correlated not just with better lipid profile.
Better traffic control.
Yes, better traffic control, but also lower C-reactive protein, or CRP.
CRP is a marker for inflammation, right?
It is. And inflammation is the underlying fire that makes the plaque build up even more dangerous. If you have high LDL but low inflammation, your risk is elevated. But if you have high LDL and high inflammation, your risk skyrockets.
Why is that?
Because the inflammation weakens the artery walls, making it easier for the plaque to stick and then, catastrophically, to rupture. So by choosing the right oils, you are fighting the problem on two fronts: traffic control and fire suppression.
That is a powerful image, traffic control and fire suppression. But here's where it gets really interesting and where I think 90% of home cooks get confused. We look at a bottle of oil and we worry about the smoke point.
Ah, yes, the smoke point myth. It is perhaps the most pervasive misconception in the culinary world.
I mean, it's the metric everyone cites.
That's the wrong metric.
We've all heard it. Don't cook with olive oil because it has the low smoke point, it'll turn toxic, it causes cancer. Is any of that true?
Well, let's look at the definition. Smoke point is simply the temperature at which an oil begins to stop shimmering and starts sending up wisps of blue smoke. Physically, it's when the volatile compounds begin to vaporize.
And instinctively, smoke equals bad. The fire alarm goes off, the kitchen smells burnt.
Smoke does indicate that the oil is beginning to break down. However, and this is a massive however smoke point, is not the best indicator of an oil's safety or quality.
It's not.
No. Or even its stability when cooking. It tells you about the optics, not the chemistry.
Wait, so an oil can smoke but still be safe? Or an oil cannot smoke and be dangerous?
Precisely the latter. The real villain here isn't just smoke, it is oxidative stability. We need to ask, how well does this oil resist breaking down chemically when we apply heat?
So we are talking about what's happening at the molecular level, not just what we see with our eyes. What happens when stability fails?
When oil breaks down really badly, it undergoes oxidation and hydrolysis. It releases free radicals and it creates things called polar compounds and acrolein.
Acrolein, that's what gives the burnt taste, right?
Yes, that acrid, bitter flavor. But the polar compounds are nastier. They are non-volatile breakdown products linked to cellular damage and potential health issues like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. They are cytotoxic.
Scary stuff. So let's apply this to the olive oil myth. Extra virgin olive oil, or EVOO, has a smoke point somewhere around, 320 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit.
Roughly 160 to 190 Celsius, yes. That's lower than, say, refined soybean oil, which might be 450 degrees Fahrenheit.
So intuitively, you would think the soybean oil is safer for high heat.
You would, but here is the surprise. EVOO is actually highly stable at high heat.
How is that possible if it's smoking?
Because it is loaded with bodyguards.
Bodyguards.
EVOO is packed with antioxidants, specifically polyphenols and vitamin E. When you heat the oil, these antioxidants step in front of the heat and oxygen. They donate hydrogen atoms to neutralize free radicals, taking the hit to protect the fatty acid chains.
Wow. So they sacrifice themselves so the oil doesn't break down into those harmful polar compounds.
That's a perfect way to put it. They sacrifice themselves.
That is fascinating. So the smoke might be a little annoying for your fire alarm, and you might lose some of the delicate flavor, but the oil itself isn't turning into poison.
Exactly. The smoke is just the loss of some free fatty acids or minor compounds evaporating. The core structure remains intact because the bodyguards are doing their job.
So there's data on this.
Oh, yes. There was a pivotal 2018 study that compared various commercial oils heated to high temperatures up to 240 degrees C.
That is scorching hot. Hotter than deep frying.
Indeed. And they found that extra virgin olive oil actually outperformed oils with much higher smoke points in terms of stability. It produced fewer harmful polar compounds than refined seed oils like sunflower oil.
Even though the sunflower oil wasn't smoking as much.
Correct. The sunflower oil didn't smoke until much higher temperatures, but it was quietly degrading into toxic byproducts because it lacked those antioxidant bodyguards.
So we've been judging a book by its cover, or an oil by its smoke, and getting it completely wrong.
We have.
The refined oil looks calm in the pan, but is chemically chaotic, while the olive oil might smoke a bit, but holds the line chemically.
And that brings us to the refined factor. This explains why the other oils fail.
Right. You see refined olive oil or light olive oil next to the extra virgin, or just, standard vegetable oil.
Refining is an industrial process. It involves bleaching, deodorizing, and sometimes high heat treatment. This strips away the flavor, the color, and the smell. And this raises the smoke point significantly because all the impurities that smoke are gone.
So a refined oil can take higher heat before smoking.
But it strips the bodyguards.
Ah.
Exactly. It removes the antioxidants. It's like sending a soldier into battle without armor. So a high smoke point refined oil might sit there looking calm in the pan, but at the molecular level, the polyunsaturated fats are exposed. They break down and form harmful compounds faster than the unrefined EVOO because they have no protection.
That is a huge takeaway. Stability over smoke point. So knowing this, let's talk about the superstars, the oils we should be reaching for.
If we look at the consensus among cardiologists, lipidologists, and nutritionists, the gold standard remains extra virgin olive oil.
The king of oils. I knew it.
Indeed. It is unique. It is high in those heroic monounsaturated fats, mostly oleic acid, which is very stable. It helps lower inflammation directly. It lowers LDL. And as we mentioned, it is packed with polyphenols like oleocanthal.
Oleocanthal.
Which actually has anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen.
Wow. So contrary to the myth, you can cook with it.
Yes. It is perfect for salad dressings and finishing, obviously, but for light sautéing, roasting vegetables, even baking, it is perfectly safe and healthy. The breakdown doesn't happen until you abuse it for hours, which home cooks rarely do.
I read a source that mentioned even consuming just more than half a tablespoon a day is linked to lowered cardiovascular disease risk. That's a tiny amount for a big benefit.
It is a very potent food. It is essentially fruit juice, the oily juice of the olive. It's a whole food product.
Now, what if I'm searing a steak? I need ripping high heat, and maybe I don't want everything to taste like olives. EVOO does have a distinct grassy, peppery flavor.
Then you want the versatile player, avocado oil.
I love avocado oil. It's got a smoke point of 520 degrees Fahrenheit. It's incredible.
It is 270 Celsius. And crucially, good quality avocado oil is often unrefined or cold-pressed, yet it still has that high smoke point. And it has a fatty acid profile very similar to olive oil, mostly monounsaturated fat.
But it tastes neutral. It's buttery, but very mild.
Which is key. If you are making a delicate cake or searing a piece of beef where you want the meat flavor to shine, avocado oil is excellent. Plus, it contains lutein, which is an antioxidant good for eye health.
And it helps you absorb nutrients from your salad greens, right? I always tell my patients, don't eat dry salads. You're wasting the salad.
You are absolutely right. Many vitamins in vegetables, like vitamin A, D, E, and K, are fat-soluble. They need to bind to fat molecules to cross the intestinal wall. If you eat a fat-free dressing, you are actually preventing your body from getting the nutrients from your salad.
So avocado oil is a perfect carrier for this.
It is.
Now, there's a new kid on the block that I've been seeing lately, algae cooking oil. Have you looked into this?
I have. It is quite the modern innovation. It sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But
Oh,
it is oil fermented from microalgae.
algae, like pond scum.
Well, scientifically controlled microalgae grown in sterile fermentation tanks. They feed the algae sugar, the algae converted into oil, and then the oil is pressed out. But don't let the origin put you off. The stats are impressive.
Well, yeah.
It is extremely high in monounsaturated fats, around 90% or more. That is even higher than olive or avocado oil.
And what about saturated fat? That's the one we're worried about.
It has the lowest saturated fat content of almost any cooking oil on the market.
And the pitch is that it has a high smoke point and a totally neutral taste.
Correct. Because it is grown in a controlled environment, it is very pure. And from an environmental standpoint, it is highly sustainable. You don't need acres of olive trees or palm plantations causing deforestation. You grow it in tanks.
Interesting. So for the adventurous cook who wants a heart-healthy, high-performance oil, it is definitely one to watch.
I would say so.
Okay, so we have our superstars. EVOO, avocado, algae. Now let's talk about the workhorses. These are the bottles you see in every restaurant kitchen and most pantries, the seed and vegetable oils. Let's start with the one that gets the most heat online, canola.
Canola is controversial on the internet.
But putting it mildly, if you go on social media, you'll see people calling it toxic sludge or industrial poison.
Right.
We need to separate fact from fear here.
Let's look at the facts. Canola oil is derived from the rapeseed plant. From a lipid profile standpoint, strictly looking at the fats, it actually looks very good.
Really?
Yes. It has one of the lowest saturated fat contents, about 7%, and it is high in monounsaturated fat, about 63%. It even has a decent amount of omega-3s.
So why the hate? Why do wellness influencers despise it?
It mostly stems from the processing. Standard supermarket canola oil is heavily refined, bleached, and deodorized. It is often extracted using a solvent called hexane.
And hexane sounds scary. It sounds like gasoline.
It is a chemical solvent derived from petroleum, yes. However, the amount of hexane left in the oil after processing is infinitesimal. We are talking parts per billion.
So basically nothing.
Trace amounts that are considered negligible by every major food safety authority, including the FDA and EFSA. You probably inhale more hydrocarbons filling up your car with gas than you'd get from a lifetime of canola oil. The fear is largely overblown.
So it's not poison.
No. If you are on a budget, canola is a heart-healthy choice compared to butter or lard because of that low saturated fat. It lowers cholesterol. However, because it is refined, it doesn't have the antioxidant punch of extra virgin olive oil.
It's a neutral choice, not a super choice.
That's a good way of putting it.
If people are still worried about the processing, maybe they just want to live closer to nature. Is there an alternative?
Yes, you can buy cold-pressed or expeller-pressed canola oil. It is extracted mechanically without solvents. It retains more nutrients and is a great middle ground. It has a nuttier flavor and a deep yellow color.
Moving on to another workhorse, especially in Asian cooking, rice bran oil.
This is a staple in many parts of Asia, particularly Japan and India. It is extracted from the hard outer brown layer of rice after chafing. It has a very high smoke point, which makes it excellent for stir-frying.
Around 450 Fahrenheit, right?
Yes, 232 Celsius. And it has a cool secret ingredient, doesn't it?
It does. Gamma-oryzanol.
Tell us about it.
It is a potent antioxidant found in rice bran oil that has been linked to lowering cholesterol and improving metabolic health. The fat balance is decent, too pretty balance between mono and polyunsaturated. I often think of rice bran oil as the household staple for when you need high heat and neutral flavor, but want something a bit more interesting than generic vegetable oil.
I agree. Then we have the big group, soybean, corn, and sunflower oils. These are everywhere, in everything.
These are your classic polyunsaturated fat, or PUFA oils. They are rich in omega-6 fatty acids.
And we said earlier, PUFAs are complex and fragile.
Right. On the positive side, replacing butter with soybean oil will lower your cholesterol. That is established science. But because they are so high in polyunsaturated fats, they are chemically less stable under very high heat over long periods.
Less stable in the MUFAs, like olive or avocado.
Exactly. They oxidize faster, so fine for baking a cake or a quick sauté.
Absolutely fine, but I wouldn't keep a deep fryer full of soybean oil on your counter, heating it up day after day. That is where you run into degradation issues.
And what about the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio? I hear a lot about that.
That is a valid point. There's a debate that our modern diets tend to be way too high in omega-6, which comes from these oils, and not nearly enough omega-3. So moderation is key.
Got it. So they aren't evil, but they have limitations.
Exactly.
We have covered a lot of ground already. Let's take a quick breather and recap where we are.
A wise idea. So far, we have established 3 key things. First, fat quality matters more than smoke point. Do not fear the smoke, fear the oxidation, the invisible chemical breakdown.
Right. Stability over smoke.
Second, extra virgin olive oil is the stable safety king, even for cooking, thanks to its antioxidant bodyguards. And third, monounsaturated fats found in olive, avocado, and algae oils are the champions for heart health.
But we are not done yet. Coming up next, we tackle the heavyweights, the controversial ones. Is coconut oil actually a superfood, or have we been duped? Is lard making a comeback? And there is one thing you must never do with oil if you want to avoid cancer risks. We will uncover all of that right after this.
Stay tuned.
And we are back on the Doctor Kitcha Podcast. We are diving deep into cooking oils. Now, Dr. Nida, we have to talk about the saturated debate, specifically the tropical oils.
So the tropical oils, coconut and palm, this is where the marketing often clashes with the cardiology.
Let's start with coconut oil. A few years ago, it seemed like everyone was putting a spoonful of coconut oil in their coffee, cooking their eggs in it, maybe even rubbing it on their skin. It had a massive health halo.
It did. The claim was that because it contains medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, it burns fat and fuels the brain differently than other fats.
Right, the MCTs.
And while MCTs are scientifically interesting, we have to look at the whole package. Coconut oil is about 82% to 90% saturated fat.
That is higher than butter.
Much higher. Butter is about 63% saturated fat. Lard is only about 40%. Coconut oil is practically pure saturated fat. It's solid as a rock on a cool day.
So what does that do to our cholesterol trucks, the LDL and HDL?
The research is clear on this. Coconut oil raises HDL, the good garbage trucks, which is great. But it also significantly raises LDL, the bad delivery trucks.
Oh.
Because it is so saturated, it downregulates the LDL receptors in the liver, meaning the liver clears less cholesterol from the blood.
So it's a wash. Or is it net negative?
The net result is still an increase in total cholesterol and LDL. And while the LDL particles might be slightly larger and fluffier than those created by sugar, elevated LDL is still a risk factor for heart disease. It behaves much more like butter or beef tallow than it does like olive oil.
So the verdict is, it's not a health food.
It is not a poison, but it is not a daily health supplement. If you are making a Thai curry and you need that coconut flavor, use it. It's delicious.
Of course.
But don't eat it by the spoonful thinking you are unclogging your arteries. You aren't. You are likely clogging them.
Use it for flavor, not for health. Got it. Now, palm oil.
Palm oil is the industry giant. It is cheap, shelf-stable, and semi-solid, so it provides texture. You find it in processed cookies, crackers, peanut butter, instant noodles. It's functional grease.
Is it healthy?
Meta-analyses show it increases LDL compared to vegetable oils. It is high in saturated fat, about 50%. From a health perspective, I would recommend avoiding it as a primary cooking oil.
And probably limit the processed snacks that are full of it.
Exactly. And of course, the environmental impact of palm oil production on biodiversity is a whole other conversation. But strictly health-wise, it's a limit.
Right. Now, let's go old school. Lard and butter. I feel like there's a movement of chefs and foodies saying, go back to natural fats. Grandma used lard and she lived to be 90.
The natural argument. It is appealing. We have a romantic view of the farm kitchen. And to be fair, lard pig fat is chemically interesting.
How so?
As I mentioned, it actually has less saturated fat and more unsaturated fat than butter.
Really? Lard is healthier than butter?
Strictly speaking of the fatty acid profile, yes. It has more monounsaturated fat, mostly oleic acid, the same stuff in olive oil. It is not the heart attack in a tub people think it is.
Okay, but there's however coming, I can feel it.
There is. However, unlike plant oils, both lard and butter contain dietary cholesterol, and they're very calorie-dense.
Right.
The advice here is moderation. Butter and lard are fantastic flavor enhancers. A flaky pie crust needs lard or butter to create those layers. A specific stir-fry might need that pork fat flavor.
So treat them as ingredients for flavor, not as your everyday cooking medium.
Precisely. Don't deep fry everything in lard every day, but don't be afraid of a little butter on your toast or in your pie crust.
Context matters.
Context is everything. If you are eating a diet rich in vegetables and fiber, a little butter is fine. If you are eating a standard American diet, adding more butter is fuel on the fire.
Let's pivot back to processing. We touched on this with canola, but I want to clarify the terms cold-pressed versus refined, because you see these on labels for almost every oil now.
This is crucial for understanding what you are buying. Refined oils go through a factory process. They use heat, pressure, and often solvents like hexane to extract every last drop of oil from the seed. Then they bleach it to remove color and deodorize it to remove smell.
Resulting in a neutral, consistent oil. It always tastes the same, looks the same.
Yes, it has a longer shelf life and a higher smoke point.
Yeah.
But as we discussed, the nutrients, the vitamin E, the polyphenols are mostly gone, and there is another risk.
What's that?
The refining process, because it involves high heat, can sometimes create small amounts of trans fats. We are talking trace amounts, maybe up to 0.5%, but it is there. It's an unintended byproduct of the industrial treatment.
They're just cold-pressed.
Cold-pressed or unrefined means the oil was extracted mechanically, literally squashed out of the seed or fruit using a screw press or hydraulic press at temperatures usually below 122 degrees FR or 50 degrees C.
So it's raw juice, essentially.
Basically.
Oh.
It retains the vitamin E, vitamin K, and all those antioxidants. It has a stronger flavor and a vibrant color. But it's more fragile. It can go rancid faster because the organic material is still in there.
So my takeaway here is, use cold-pressed oils for finishing, dressings, or low-heat cooking where you want to preserve those expensive nutrients. Use refined oils if you really need high-heat performance or a neutral flavor, but know what you are trading off.
That is a perfect summary.
Now, we teased this earlier, the dangerous zone. The one thing you should never do, reusing frying oil.
This is the cardinal sin of cooking. And I know, it is tempting. You fry a batch of chicken and you have a pot of oil left. It feels wasteful to throw it out.
But what happens to that oil when it cools down and gets heated up again and again?
It is a chemical disaster zone. Repeated heating causes a cascade of degradation. First, hydrolysis. Water from the food reacts with the oil, breaking triglycerides into free fatty acids. This lowers the smoke point immediately.
So it smokes sooner the second time you use it.
Much sooner. Then oxidation accelerates. It creates those polar compounds we mentioned and polymers.
Polymers, like plastics.
Essentially, yes. That is why old oil gets sticky and viscous. Have you ever touched the side of a deep fryer and it's coated in a sticky brown gum? That is polymerized oil. It is literally plasticizing.
Yikes. And we are eating that.
If you reuse the oil, yes. And the health risk is real. Consuming reused oil increases oxidative stress in the body. It is linked to higher blood pressure, endothelial dysfunction.
Artery stiffness.
Yes. And there are even links to increased cancer risks because of the carcinogenic compounds formed, like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons.
So how do we know if oil is bad? Say I walk into a restaurant, how can I tell?
If the oil in the fryer is dark, thick, or sticky, if it foams a lot when they add food, foaming is a sign of surfactant buildup from breakdown, or if it starts smoking at a much lower temperature than usual, those are signs it is chemically degraded. Throw it out.
And while we are on the topic of bad, let's put the final nail in the coffin for trans fats.
Thankfully, these are largely banned in many places now, but you still need to be vigilant, especially with imported foods or older pantry items.
These are the partially hydrogenated oil.
Yes. They were an industrial invention to turn liquid oil into solid fat, like margarine or shortening, by blasting it with hydrogen. They are the worst of the worst. They raise your bad cholesterol, LDL, and they lower your good cholesterol, HDL.
A true double whammy.
And they cause systemic inflammation. If you see partially hydrogenated on any label, margarine, vegetable shortening, processed cookies, frostings, put it back on the shelf. There is no safe limit.
Absolute rule, no partial hydrogenation.
None whatsoever.
Okay, we've covered the science, the myths, and the dangers. Let's make this practical. I want to give our listeners a cheat sheet. How do we shop and store this stuff?
First tip, buy small.
Really? But the gallon jug is so much cheaper. I love a Costco run.
It is false economy. Unless you run a restaurant or have a huge family, you probably won't use that gallon before the oil starts to oxidize. Oxygen is the enemy.
Every time you open the cap.
Every time fresh air gets in and attacks the oil.
Right.
Over time, the oil goes rancid, and rancid oil is full of free radicals.
So buy smaller bottles and use them up while they are fresh. And storage.
Cool, dark place. Light and heat destroy antioxidants. Do not keep your fancy olive oil right next to the stove where it gets hot every time you cook. Put it in a cupboard.
Guilty as charged. I'll move my oil today. Now, what should be in our pantry roster? If I want a well-stocked kitchen, What 3 or 4 oils do I need?
I would suggest this lineup. Number 1, extra virgin olive oil. This is your everyday staple. Salad dressings, dipping, and yes, your light sautéing and roasting. It's the health champion. Buy a good one in a dark glass bottle or tin.
Check. Number 2.
Avocado oil or rice bran oil. You need 1 high-heat neutral oil. This is for searing steaks, stir-frying, or anytime you don't want the flavor of olives.
Got it. Number 3.
A baking oil. If you bake muffins or cakes, olive oil can sometimes be too heavy. A cold-pressed canola oil or even a simple vegetable oil works here. Or melted butter if the recipe demands that flavor.
And finally, a wild card.
Flavor oils. Small bottles of toasted sesame oil or coconut oil. Use these just for specific cuisines where you need that distinct taste. Treat them like spices, not cooking mediums.
That is a solid list. Simple, effective, and it covers all the bases.
Exactly.
Dr. Nida, this has been an incredible deep dive. Let's bring it all home. What is the summary for our listeners?
If you take anything away from today, remember this. 1, smoke point isn't everything. Oxidative stability is what keeps your oil safe.
Stability over smoke.
2, olive and avocado oils are the reigning champions for heart health because of their monounsaturated fats. 3, saturated fats like coconut oil and butter are occasional treats, not health foods.
Y puebre.
And 4, never ever reuse your frying oil.
Perfect. And here's a thought to leave you with something to mull over. We talked about algae oil and we talked about the chemistry of these fats. With innovations like fermentation and a return to cold pressing, are we moving toward a future where oil isn't just a cooking medium, but a customized nutritional supplement?
That is an intriguing thought. We already fortify milk and flour. Imagine oils tailored to your specific genetic lipid profile. If inflammation is the root of heart disease, changing the oil in your pan might just be the easiest, most delicious medicine you can take.
I love that. Changing your oil is the easiest medicine. Folks, thank you for listening to the Dr. Kitcha Podcast. If you found this helpful, please like and share this video to help spread heart-healthy knowledge to your friends and family.
Indeed. Knowledge is only powerful when it is shared. Stay healthy, everyone.
See you on the next deep dive. Bye.